important do you feel it is to relate or share a product or a talent of someone you know or appreciate? Hi, I'm James Lynch, and welcome to this Pocket Books Update Moment. In referencing the podcast, A Mercy and Principal Result, in there, near the end, well, yes, quite possibly right at the end, because I didn't talk too much further after A Mercy and Principal Result, because I gave you experience of a man who was able to overcome, this adversity in life. And it was a lot to pull himself up, so to speak, to tighten up his shoestrings and to really pick himself up. But he did. Now, how was he able to do that? Was it solely by himself? Well, yes, it took determination for him to do it. But then when he went to, or was, guided by, even at times, the resources that he needed, to pull himself up by the bootstraps, and then the tighten up his shoelaces, it goes to show that whatever functions, whatever forces were in place for him, or resources, opportunities were in place for him, they provided what he needed to do that. See, and yet, once again, it took him not only being open to an ideal, but once again, the persons who were looking out for him. That's why I encourage you to listen to the podcast, because it's like I'm not trying to give away spoilers. They knew from their experience what to do, and it worked out. And near the end, I ended up referencing a passage from the good book that talked about, if you see somebody in need, then what should you most likely do in principle? And so that's all I'm going to do, is leave you with that as a reference. And see, getting right back now to what I was just sharing about expressing what you appreciate about a product, a person, or business, In this day and age, over the past year as well, do you feel that sharing and shout-outs, as we call it, happen more in abundance, or maybe they have started going down more and more? Like, for example, let's say every day you gave maybe 5 to 10 shout-outs. So, let's just say you just gave 10 shout-outs every day in times past. Have you still kept up that same routine? If you haven't, why have you not kept up that same routine? See, that is the question. If you were, once again, very giving and gracious person with even commendation, at least in years past, over the past year, has that increased? Has it stayed the same? Or has that dropped off? Why? Okay, now, let me share something with you that I used to do years ago, and this actually played into some good results. When I brought the Product of Culture website, popbooks.com, online, those years ago, back in 2010, it was within a couple of years I actually started, not only reading more, but it turned more into actually observing different people with talents, even more so, and narrators, for, the audiobooks that I was working on. And so you could see that these different persons had the talent, for sure. The ones that I mostly looked at, only besides maybe one, were not really, well known at that time, but had tremendous talent on a level that was, phenomenal. And so, as a person who knows what you really want and trying to accomplish, you see, sometimes that's when you initiate contact with persons, and you might tell them, look, this is what, I would like for you to be able to do if you can do it this way or that way. You see what I'm saying? And then One of the things that you can do to help, if they're agreeable to it, which, like I said, the ones that I normally would actually look out for would certainly be, you may actually give them examples of whatever it is, especially, like I said, if you're creating your audiobooks or what have you, that it may be a certain tone or that just right. In other words, they got the talent, but it may be something that you want them to do at this particular point or scene in your book. You see what I'm talking about? And so you may search and find examples and things of that nature to show them exactly what you want. All right. Now, with that, if they fulfill, and even if they don't, even if they once again gave you the time of day, wouldn't you be grateful and thankful for their talent and even the work that they may have done for you or what have you? And how would you express that gratitude? Yep, you guessed it. It probably would be some form of shout out, some type of accommodation or thank you or what have you. Well, this is the reason why I'm mentioning for years. If you've seen on the website, if you were to look through, I've made different commentaries over the years. You see, on the podcast, I went into real deep detail on some of them because these were interesting subjects, but sometimes these were also persons who showed a great talent, you see, and able to do marvelous things with their voice. All right. Now, with all that being said and done, do you think those shout outs help those persons, help those businesses? Because it wasn't only persons, it was actually businesses at times. And as I said before, it ranged from people who you might already know to people who would just be your local farmer, you know, so to speak, that as far as their personality, you see. Now, did that give you any idea at all what you can do with your own social media platform? It is important more than ever to continue to comment on what you appreciate. Because as I've asked earlier, if the commendation, the shout outs and the sharing has started going down on the internet, and then with this rampant persons, I don't even want to use the word, but you know what word I'm talking about, where it's like they're trying to cover up people's voices with masks, if you will. Let me say that again. Trying to cover up people's voices and their opinions with masks, if you will, figuratively speaking. What do you think will eventually happen? So this is me encouraging you, as always. Of course, it's your choice. But if you appreciate all these different talents from these different persons, and it is important as far as your word of mouth, commentary, marketing, or what have you, to make others aware of their talent, do you think you should continue to say and promote them on that level? Because if you don't, will you always have that talent to appreciate with the way different things are going, as I said before, where persons, figuratively speaking, are sometimes trying to put like a mask on your very talent that you appreciate. And it's like I said, it's your choice to appreciate it. This is James Lynch with a Pop Books Update moment. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.